And we are live. Good morning and welcome to this week's Uplifting Conversation. And I have with me the lovely Donna Selby. Now, Donna and I have known
Hi.
each other. Hi, Donna. How are you?
Good, thanks.
We're just trying to work out if there's a lag or what's going on. But from my point of view, I can hear you okay. So
Yep.
please let's know in the comments if you are joining us. Let's know what is happening for you, because we just want to make sure that everyone can hear us okay and see us. So I'm so excited to have an old friend from, oh gosh, we've known each other for many years. I'm not quite sure how long, but we've watched each other come and go through different things in our lives. And I'm just delighted to hear Donna share her journey of courage and change, and just her journey in general. We both have a love of Young Living essential oils, of course, and they have become an intricate part of our journey. So good morning and welcome, Donna.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Um, it's just so wonderful to be able to share with everyone my journey and have a chat with you and a catch up.
Absolutely. Yes. So that's what we said. We'll have a catch up because we both live in Tasmania, but we don't always get to see each other often as you do. Life
No.
gets busy. But I know, Donna, I know a lot of your troubles that you've had, and you probably know some of mine as well. And that's life.
Yes.
We all have uphills and downhills, and we all those bumps in the road, or maybe that brick wall that we face. And so I'm excited to hear about your journey. And we've got someone, greetings from Florida. So welcome.
Oh,
But
hi.
I can't see who you are. So let's know if you would like to name who you are. So, yeah, this is an interactive conversation. If you are sitting, joining us, please comment, please ask questions, please be part of this conversation. So, Donna, where
Yes,
will
we
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 start with
both like to
you?
talk.
Yes, we do.
Well, I was. Oh, geez, I don't know what happened then. We have someone else from Gladstone.
Yes, Robin from Gladstone. Welcome, Robin.
Oh, Robin. Hi, Robin.
And
I'd like
Danny
to
Lee from
begin.
Hobart.
Oh, hi, Danny Lee. I'd like to begin with how stress and anxiety affect our memory and our brain function. So when we're pushing ourselves out of our limits, it's very easy for us to go, oh, you can't forget anything. You don't remember what you're saying. You can't see. All of that is to do with the stress response and your system shutting all the parts down that you really need to be using. So that's where meditation comes in, and living a balanced life so you can still push yourself past your limits, but so you've got the awareness to take it easy and to be aware it's just normal. It's normal to forget things, and it's normal to stutter your words, because that's exactly with me today.
Well, I would imagine that you are perhaps in a little bit of stress. Because this
Oh,
presumably is your
that's the
first
thing.
online, is it?
It is my first, well, in a long time. I didn't, yeah, I don't often sort of do these calls, but even though you may not feel like you're stressed when you're faced with a new situation, um, sometimes, yeah, you're part of your memory that you sort of would generally like to have, you lose it. So anyhow, the only way to overcome that sort of thing is by actually doing. I know I'd spent a long time procrastinating over things and finding it difficult to get started, but you can't possibly know what to do until you actually get started. So I will begin with my relationship breakup when I lived at Latrobe, and that was over 10 years ago now. I was in an on and again, off again relationship. And I realized that to make a change, you have to create a change. So I knew it wasn't working out. So I packed up my 2 boys and my house and my 2 dogs and cat at the time, and we moved away. It was only 40 minutes up the road, but it was far enough away for me to create a break to stop that toxic pattern that was going on with my ex. So by moving away, I gave myself the opportunity to create a new life. So growing up in Latrobe, I guess I was very shy and I would never put myself out there. So by moving to Westbury, I created for myself a new life, and I pushed past the nerves. I got myself a job at the local pub. I became involved with the community, with the footy club. I made new friends, and I started that healing process, which is, I guess, that's where it really started. I had a lot of very dark days there. Of course, every second weekend, my boys would go to their dads and I'd be left alone in the house, not knowing what to do with myself. So I've had to become friends with myself and make friends with, be happy in my own company and think, well, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I enjoy doing? I had no hobbies. I just had to find a balance in my life again. And I guess that's what holistic counselling is about as well. And that's what I help other people do. When you get illness, disease, anxiety, and stress in life, it's because there's an imbalance in your life and there are changes that need to be made. So I moved away and I had to adapt to these changes and push through the anxiety of, I'd go somewhere on my own. I'd never do that before. Just to even go out for a meal on my own, I'd go anyway. So you shouldn't feel worried about that, but I know a lot of people do, and that's how I felt. So, so started the healing journey, I guess.
I can relate to that. I recall when I had a separation and I had young children, just going out. Well, there wasn't many times that I could go out by myself because I had my children 24/7. I didn't have any time away from them after separation. But for me, it was going out by myself with the children and feeling, looking at other people and thinking, they're all in happy relationships and I'm the odd one out. But that point, Donna, where you said that you had to push past a certain point, to me, that is the courage. That's the taking that stand of, okay, this is how I feel, but I'm not going to let that dictate my actions or my responses.
No, absolutely not. And I did really dig deep during that time. I had a lot of days, even when the boys were at school, I'd go to bed, I'd cry, I'd scream. And honestly, it wasn't that I didn't want to not be alive anymore, but a lot of people, now this is a trigger warning, a lot of people who do have suicidal thoughts don't want to necessarily die, but they want the death of that situation that they're in. They want to change. And that's where I was lucky enough and grateful enough to have the tools that I've used, and over time, I've got more tools in my toolbox, and I am grateful for that, to utilize to help me through those times. And it's those moments where you sort of think, well, I'm not going too good here, and thinking very dark thoughts. So
I can certainly relate to that. Yes.
I'd scream into the pillow, I'd punch the pillow, and then sometimes I'd find myself telling myself off, come on, Donna, take yourself out into the sun. And I remember one particular afternoon, I went and laid on the trampoline after I'd cried and screamed and really felt really bad about myself. And I think it was the sunshine and the grounding and taking control of my thoughts again.
Yes.
That sort of brought me back. And so after a while, I learned to look after myself when I was there on my own of a weekend, and I'd spoil myself. So I'd make myself pancakes. I'd read my book in bed and then get up and make bacon and eggs for breakfast. I'd go walking. I was exercising a lot then, which absolutely helped me immensely. I'd spent time with my animals. So, and that was quite an important part of my journey and my healing journey, because I have grown up believing that I had to have a man, and I guess I did feel worthless without a man. Like, that was what I was striving to achieve. And I do regret that now, because I could have strived to achieve so much more instead of focusing on having a man in my life. So through the healing, of course, I was doing manifestation, and I'd write out my lists of what I wanted in a man and what I wanted in life. And each time I'd meet someone, I'd add something else to the list that I'd forget to add. Like,
good idea.
He had to be single. And then I had to add, he had to be emotionally ready and available for a relationship, because just because they're single, doesn't mean that they're wanting a relationship. So over time, I guess that list grew. And it may have been 12 months later, over 12 months later, I met my now husband, Luke. Now, Spirit, they've got quite the sense of humour. On my list, I had on there that I wanted a cowboy. This is 10 years ago now.
Yes.
So anyway, Luke used to be the overseer at the Tasmanian feedlot. So he worked with cows, but not quite the cowboy I was picturing. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with. But did you know absolutely everything on that list was Luke?
Yes.
And I'd actually done vision boards before I moved when I was in Latrobe, and everything on that vision board I manifested into reality. So
that
Was,
congratulations.
amazing.
I know often I'll be online with people when I do my readings with people, and they'll say, am I going to meet the man of my dreams? And I don't use Spirit to call those questions in, but what I will do is say to these people, just make sure, one, you are the best version of you possible in this time, and also so that you've raised your vibration up enough to choose somebody who is also of a vibrational match. So you're not coming from this point of desperation, you're coming from a point of strength. And get your list out and write your list down, because I know that I'm good at leaving things off my list. So I liked how you said, well, I went back and added to it. So to me, you were open to learning, changing, growing along that journey.
Yeah. And when I realized that, hey, I'm doing okay on my own, I'm doing more than okay on my own, so I don't need a man. I got to the stage where I thought, I don't need a man to make a life with. I wanted a man to share my life with, and to, what was the word? Complement my life that I already had.
I love that, because I'm here going compliment, and you
compliment.
And you
That's
came out
exactly
with
the word.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So that's the thing. To me, a relationship is there's two people, but we have a connection with Spirit, and for me, it's Spirit first, and then everything else happens around that, and then that unison and that harmony becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier about how when you do when you have your questions about relationships, that's sort of similar to how I work with Spirit. Of course, I can predict the future, and I might see, what's going to happen or what you're bringing in, but mainly my readings are a counselling session through spirit, from spirit through me.
Yes.
And it's about connecting with yourself.
Absolutely. So now I know that I love the you call yourself a psychic counsellor too in some of the words you're using. So tell me a bit about your journey into your psychic and abilities, and because I know you do readings and you did some of those maybe before all of this. So I'd love to hear that part of your journey.
Yes. Well, I grew up 2 houses up from Kate Green, a well-known clairvoyant, and the lovely Jo's mum from Red Room Reiki. And
Yes.
so I was very lucky, and she used to be friends with my mum, and we'd both go up and she'd give us healings, and I was always going for a reading, and that's what sort of spurred me along to become interested in tarot cards and the spirit world. I'll just have a drink.
And to me, this is a part of the tools of your of the tools in your toolbox. Yes.
Yes. So that's when I was introduced to meditation. But you see, it did take me a good, so I met her when I started doing that when I was, say, 14. It took probably 20 years, really, until I realized that the relationship I was in had to end. And when I moved to Westbury, that's when I really amped things up a bit. And it was also, when I created my Divine Timing by Donna Page, aptly named because I thought everything happens in divine timing. And that was also a big part of me handing things over to spirit. And it's all about acceptance. I've got my little oil here.
Yes.
That's been a game changer as well for me. So there I was at Westbury. I'd done my lists. I'd met Luke. It was early on in the relationship when I had a vision. I just had this vision. And I said to him, I just had a vision. I said, I think it was your nan. And I said, it was either Daly or Bailey. And he's like, oh, my God, Daisy Blaisley. So anyhow, that spun us out. And then at that stage, see, I was tuning in more and more to spirit for my own journey. And I just knew I was going to marry Luke, and I knew we were going to have a daughter, a baby girl. Whereas with my ex, we were engaged, but I just couldn't see that. And you see, I'll just backtrack a little bit because it's important to realize that sometimes you're in a relationship and you sort of, I was sort of thinking that the other person must be a really terrible person to not want to be with them. I had to sort of learn that there was nothing wrong with him, nothing wrong with me. But if we stayed together, that'd stop us from living the lives that we were meant to live. You know, he's since gone on and remarried, and so have I. So we tend to look too much into relationships and think, well, I'll just stay, even though spirit's putting things into place. You look, it's not right. They give you nudges to say you need to move on from here. So it's a matter of really listening. And so I knew when I met Luke from the feelings that I was getting that we were going to get married and have a child. And so I was driving from Westbury to Deloraine one day and going through Exton, and I was always thinking about baby girl names. People must have thought I was queer. We hadn't known each other very long. So anyway, I heard the name Evelyn. I'm like, oh yeah, dismissed it. And then it's like, no, Evelyn. I thought, no, I don't really like it. Well, it was consistent. And that's the thing we all need to remember as well. Spirit, their guidance is consistent. And so I went home and I told Luke, because, that's Daisy's real name. She hated it that much. She was Evelyn Daisy Blaisley, and she hated Evelyn that much. She called herself Daisy. But you see, that was another way of spirit and his nan coming in to say, hi, I'm here.
Yes.
So
Beautiful.
it's about tuning into your intuition.
Listening to, I call them divine nudges, and listening to those divine nudges, because they're there for a reason, and we don't always get the logical reason, but if you just have that faith and have a knowing that there's a purpose in it, it will be shown to you.
And it does take the courage, though, to listen and to follow on with that guidance, because we're humans, and we seem to like to have the evidence in front of us.
Well, I don't think
why we do things.
Yeah, no, that's so true. But I don't think many of us have been given that nurturing of, I mean, you talked about your experience when you were 14 of meeting someone who was psychic and who, was opened you up to that realm. Well, not many of us have that. I mean, a lot of people do, but I would say the majority of people, we have, for want of a better word, we just live a normal life, and, we're not that, we don't look into things very deeply and haven't been encouraged to.
And it's taken me a long time to realize that not everyone is like me.
Yes, that's true.
And it goes back to that time when I was at Westbury and thinking the very dark thoughts. And again, when we later on, when we moved to Parana, and I had lots of stress in my life, and I was also very dark then. Thank God for my spiritual practices, for my spiritual friends, yourself included in that, Kay, to have helped me and assisted me on that journey, because it is very, very tough when you're at that point to push through it and keep going.
And I think the message there is that we don't have to be alone. I know for me, I'm very independent and not used to leaning on other people or relying on other people or even expecting other people to be a part of it. But in reality, we can't. We're not islands. We are, we are people that need people. We need people. What is it? We need other people. We need touch. We need an ear. We need other people's ways of, troubleshooting or lifting you up.
And another thing that I learned as well, and I only learned this a few years ago, since doing readings and going to the school to drop my daughter off, and I'd look around at all the other mums and dads, and I realised we're all the same. We all have confidence issues. Even the people who get up on stage often, I used to think, it's easy for them. They're not they don't get nervous, but we all get nervous, and we all have stress. But there's good stress and bad stress. So it is good to have good stress. And from doing the readings, I had most of my clients were asking me the same thing or having the same worries and concerns. And it's about a sense of community, and that you're not the only one who's having a shit morning, or you're not the only one who's feeling like an awful mother because you forgot your daughter's lunch, which I may have done once. No, I forgot to give her breakfast once. We turned up at kindergarten. I'm like, Cassidy, I forgot to give you your breakfast.
Yeah. I'm sure if she was hungry, she'd been saying, Mum,
Yeah, that's right. But we're so hard on ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we can get, there must be a lag between us, so please bear with us if as you're listening to this. And please let us know if you're still watching us. What is, have you experienced some of these thoughts or feelings? What was it that helped you move beyond where your troublesome times were, or maybe you're having some troublesome times? We might be able to give you some support from a distance.
Absolutely.
Because it's, I think, and for you and I are a bit similar in the fact that a marriage breakup was the catalyst for us to look deeper into ourselves and to, expand the reserves we have within ourselves, and then to have that impetus to say, well, why we've been given these journey, to me, we've been given these journeys for a reason. And there's so many people these days who are separating. There's a lot of unhappiness in the world. And to me, the world's going to be a better place if we lend an ear, a heart, a hand, or share our tools. Like, that's why I come with these beautiful oils, because I know how powerful they are at helping us maneuver our way through our journey. But the idea that we've learnt, so we've gone through that schooling, so to speak, and then we've extended it with our own. You've gone and done counselling,
Yes.
studies and things.
What is it? I've had to write it down because I forget. At the moment, yes. I have my diploma of holistic empowerment coaching. So, and I'm almost finished my master practitioner of holistic counselling. So that's been amazing. Another amazing part of my journey. So I met Luke, and he happened to be building a house at that time. So I went, and he's a builder, so I went and helped him build the house. We moved twice, and then we were engaged, pregnant, having a baby. Everyone thought that I found out from the ultrasound, but I didn't, because I just went out and bought a few sneaky pink things. Yes. And I even got a photo off the internet of this baby. And I showed it to my mum after Cassidy was born. And she goes, "Oh, that's a nice photo of Cassidy." Well, it wasn't Cassidy. So we've had, now all of these things that we were going through, they score greatly on the stress scale. Yes. Moving, having a baby, being engaged, planning a wedding, building a house. And at that stage, my dad was terminally ill.
Oh, yes.
What else happened? So we moved out to a house at Parana. So that was very isolated, house in the country. We thought it was going to be great, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So after we moved, the year we got married ended up being the worst year of our life. I had to have my dog put down.
Oh, no.
That was just before the wedding. We got married, and yes, as I said, my dad was in terminal, he was in palliative care at that stage. A few months after the wedding, my dad died. 2 months after that, my father-in-law was killed in a tractor accident.
Yes.
And of course, other issues with my family. And I guess being isolated, I'd moved from Latrobe to Westbury, where I was very social, and it is important to be a part of a community. And I had a job, and I was involved with everything, to moving out, onto the 1,200 acres of land, and it was difficult to get in and out of. It was isolated, and we're all on our own. We all have stress, but it's how you manage that stress. That's the key. I'll just move through my notes here. So I found myself, I was in bed for 3 months with chronic fatigue. You may as well say I had a nervous breakdown, really. And I was studying, that's all I was doing, researching what was wrong with me, because that's what we all do, and it's human nature, I think, to want to find a label, because otherwise you feel like you're losing your mind. I mean, I looked up on my phone just yesterday, and I had a huge list of ailments, what do you call it? Things that were wrong with me, and it was everything from blurred vision, my throat, a swollen throat, heart palpitations, I was feeling sick. I was having stomach pains. So this all came about. It was just early 2020 when COVID came in. I just signed up to join the gym, and it was a 6 to Success program over 6 weeks. Now, because we weren't able to travel to the gym, we were doing it online. So me being me, and I imagine you're the same, Kay, we don't do things by halves. So every morning at 6 o'clock, I think it was 6:30, I was joining Mick, and we were doing a high impact
movements.
class.
Yes.
I couldn't think I had a couldn't. So I was working very hard, and then I'd go out walking, and then of an afternoon I'd do another class. So I was definitely doing a lot more because I was lucky enough to be able to stream it online. But anyhow, I wasn't looking after my mental health. So it was one morning, I was doing a class, and I said to Luke, I felt like I was going to die. My heart rate was just through the roof. My head was spinning. I felt like I really thought I was going to die. So since then, it scared me. It frightened me. I didn't want to do it anymore because that's how terrifying it was. And all of a sudden, I think all of my emotional problems and stress had caught up with me. I was tired. I went to bed, and I tried to get up. I couldn't really make it out to the kitchen. I was dizzy. I was pale. So I thought, right, I need a rest, because I'd either be running, doing things flat out, or nothing at all. So that's where, again, it's important to have that balance. So I'm in bed. I'm researching everything to find out what's wrong with me. I went and had blood tests done, and I found out I had some disease. So I'm researching that. I'm joining support groups for the chronic fatigue. But the thing is, the more we research what's wrong with us, our brain doesn't realize that we're trying to help ourselves. And so the more I was researching it, the more my brain's saying, oh, okay. And it kept me sick. And at this stage, I was so frustrated. I felt like a fraud, because on my business page, I was teaching how to keep yourself, positive affirmations and keeping yourself active. And I'm thinking, well, shit, how can here I am, can't get myself out of bed, and I'm promoting all this stuff on Facebook. I felt like a fraud. And then I thought to myself, if it wasn't for the tools I was using, I don't think I'd still be here. So I was being so hard on myself, but all the while, those 3 months in bed were the game changer, really.
Yes.
And that's where I learnt. I was researching about the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve, that's responsible for the rest and digest. So when it's damaged, it keeps us in fight or flight. So you damage your vagus nerve through experiencing trauma. And that can be, it doesn't have to be a big trauma, but it just keeps us stuck. See, the fight or flight was great back in the day, or for animals. It shuts down your brain and your thinking, and it pumps the blood so you can run away from your predator. But after the traumatic influence, after that's finished, we're meant to go back into the rest and relaxation mode. But sometimes, we get stuck. So you have to sort of deal with how you're managing that. So when I was realizing about the vagus nerve, I started to learn how you can heal it. And you see, my favorite oil to be using was the ylang ylang, and I'd pop it down the sides of my neck. I'd bath in it. I think it's fantastic. And of course, it's got natural properties of calming effects, and it's great for anxiety. And your vagus nerve runs down your neck. So massaging that and putting the oil on that helped a lot. Yeah. As well as meditation, breath work. But you see, I was confused and I was getting so frustrated because I thought, I'm doing all of this, but I'm not getting better. How did I end up here? But you see, I had to make a change in my life. When your life is unbalanced, that's what your life's just going to turn into chaos, really. And yeah, so I had to sit down and work through issues from my past, and I had to learn coping strategies. I had to learn to delegate. And I had to learn, again, I had to get out the acceptance oil and accept the situation. We can't control other people's actions. You can only control your own.
Yes.
And there's no point thinking all these negative thoughts because it only affects you. And our thoughts are so important with what we manifest for ourselves into our lives. So I had to learn, or I taught myself to set myself a meditation routine. I had to be what's the word? I had to be regular with it. Consistent. Yes. Thank you, Kay. I had to be consistent with it. And also present in that moment as well, because my mind wasn't shutting down. So you know what that's like.
That's a point where I worked very early in my crisis. Or a few months into it, I realized that these thoughts would come, but if you didn't let them go, they just kept coming back. And to me, we have to take control of our mind rather than our mind taking control of us. And you've mentioned that quite a few times throughout this conversation, where you had to make the change, and that's that point of courage again, isn't it? Because you've got to kind of go, well, hang on, this is what it was like, but this is what I wanted to be like. So it's mind control. It's us taking control of our thoughts. And even if because they still come, but then I remember, even things like, the old Louise Hay one was, if you wanted more money, well, you had to start loving your bills. Now, most of us find that something awkward, whereas I go to the shop now where I get my mail, and the other day I said, is the power bill here yet? And instead of going in there and going, oh, woe is me, I've got my power bill, I'm going, the power bill, I'm not complaining because I've had hot showers every day. I've got, lights on at night. I can mow my lawns with my electric mower. I can, all these things that I've got to be grateful for. And in the scheme of events, what we pay for power isn't ridiculous compared to what we gain from it.
That's exactly right.
I had to change my mindset. And the clue for me was to make my mind up what I would think before something happened. Have you explored that one as well? So if something
previewing. I do a lot of previewing the situation.
Okay. Yes.
Not quite what you were. Well, I guess it is. We get so stuck. We get so stuck in our old stories, and I mention that a lot on my page. I've lost my train of thought. We get so stuck in our old stories. It's a habit. How we respond is a habit.
Yes, or how we react.
Sometimes how we react is a habit. Yeah, I've caught myself sometimes going, "Oh, Donna, why did you say that?" And I've had a dialogue in my mind, and I guess that over time helps you to change that toxic pattern, because it is. We get stuck in those old stories, and you need to move past.
Yes. So I agree with all that. What I will do is if something triggers me and I know something, maybe something somebody says to me is something that's annoying me. Well, one, I will look at why it annoys me or what, something like that. But if I want them to change, I have to change how I react or respond. So, or I respond rather than reacting. So if I'm, for example, something's happening, can't think of something off the cuff just now, but I will decide how I'm going to respond in that moment for next time. So if it's something like somebody leaves the door open all the time, and I always say, shut the door. Well, next time I might go, oh, I'd appreciate it if you shut the door. Or maybe my new way of dealing with things is to get up and close the door myself and not be triggered by it. So
oh, yes.
do you know what I mean? So you're actually preempting, you're actually pre-programming how you are going to respond to a situation. So even if here's an example, your kids come in at night, and I see it in my own family, they come in at night, and it's easy to say for me because my kids have all grown up now, but and they just drop the bag there, and 2 hours later or the next morning you're going, now where's the bag? Oh, that's right, it's there. We've got to empty the lunchbox and empty the drink bottle. Whereas how about instead of allowing your child to do that, for example, you could, when they say, oh, I want something to eat, you say, well, all right, I'll get you something to eat, but I would like you to go and unpack your bag while I do that. And when you finish that, then you can have something to eat. Rather than that same pattern happening, put something in place.
That's exactly what we're doing here. Yes.
And
because the children then respond chaotically when you're running late and you're stressed the next morning. So I've found that as well. You need to put things into place and create the space and the time so you're not rushing and putting yourself into that situation where conflict's likely. You see, I get exactly what you're saying, and that's what sort of I teach. I call it previewing.
Yes.
You preview your day, I guess, during meditation of a morning. You preview how you want your day to go. If you're dealing with a difficult client or difficult person, you send love to them and you preview how that visit's going to go, and you'll find it really does work.
Yes. One of our, I think it's an NLP thing or a Touch for Health thing. So you can even rewind past memories or traumas by I often do this with people, and you simply put your hand over your forehead and you replay that movie and you give it the outcome you want. Rather than, and that helps you to move away from what you're stuck in. And that's a very powerful thing. And as we let these hang-ups, these triggers, as we let them drop away, it opens the door for a whole new way forward. And we become more empowered because we're not so hooked into the story, what's happened.
Yeah. And try not to respond when you're angry.
Yes.
It's taking those few moments to stop and go, yes, I'm really angry right now. That's okay, but it's how you respond to that as well. But sometimes, I mean, if you're angry, you're driving somewhere and you're going to see something or someone that you're angry with, use that trip to say, okay, I'm going to calm down now. And as you said, I'm previewing the situation. So by the time I get there, I'm able to talk amicably and calmly. And then, as you said, Kay, that then projects onto that person to respond the same back to you.
Absolutely. Now, this Vala is my friend. So you've got your Vala there. So Vala is my friend for those moments. So putting it on my wrist, and even this is where I typically put most of my oils, which would be getting the vagus nerve. And this supports that fright and flight scenario and helps you just to take that moment and keeps you feeling calm but really strong. So Valor is definitely, it goes everywhere with me. And I find the more you use these oils, the less you're likely to be triggered. And the
Yeah.
more the insight comes into why and how to handle things.
And see, and that's right. And even down to as soon as you apply it, it's the application as well. And it helps get your mind back on track so that the oil can work, even more
Absolutely.
so.
Absolutely.
It's the whole process, isn't it?
Yes. And do you use intention? So for me, when I'm applying my valor,
Yes,
I am strong, I am calm, I am at peace. So that
absolutely.
you bring all this in while you're using your oils, and
Yep,
it's an affirmation, isn't it? Or it's a meditation
it is.
in a sense. It's setting the
Yep,
scene. Hmm.
yep.
Hmm.
I've made
Yeah.
myself up a little mix with, I don't know, it might be peppermint and orange and probably ylang ylang because that's in everything.
Yes.
And as I
Nice.
spray it on, I say, "This is my, I'm Xena, warrior princess. I'm
Oh,
putting on my
beautiful.
shield."
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so that's useful as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So what a journey. If you hadn't taken those steps to make the change, you I guess you could imagine that your life would be very, very different. And
Yes,
I've
absolutely,
I
it would have been.
yes, and it's great to hear your journey because I've sort of seen and you've been in contact with me on and off
Yeah.
throughout, the last few years to talk about which oils
Yep.
and what you're going
Yeah.
through. And I can see that you've come out this other side with this, well, a sense of purpose, which I think is so important for all of us to
It
grasp
is.
our purpose, whatever it is.
Yep.
It might be just to look after the family within the home, or it might be, yes, now I'm going to turn my story into something that's for the good of others, or
Yep.
whatever our purpose is, because when we play small, we contract and we are not listening to what those divine
No,
nudges.
no,
Well,
that's exactly right.
we start feeling useless. And early in the conversation, you were talking
Mhm.
about um, what was it? Just feeling, like there was feeling bad about yourself and not procrastination. That's the word you used. And how
Yeah.
long we procrastinate or don't listen to those nudges. Like I realized that I probably, and it's, I don't believe in regrets really, but I could have left my marriage a whole lot earlier. Um,
Yeah.
there were the signs were there, but I did not listen to them. Uh,
Yeah.
and but for anyone who's feeling they're not in the right place in life, I just urge you to not be too worried, because a lot of us have been there, but don't sit in that quagmire for longer than you really
No.
need to. And I can't imagine how hard it must have been for you to decide to leave the family home and know that you were going to compromise your time with your children. For me, I didn't want to leave my marriage because I wanted to have my children all the time. And it then because of that, I experienced 8 or 9 years of total disaster, because when my marriage finally inevitably dissolved, I was in a terrible state. And from there, I made decisions that took me further down into the dark
Yes.
tunnel that life can dish up. And I get that
Yeah.
sense that was the same for you. Probably a lot of, and yes, screaming to your pillow, do all those things, jump up and down. But as quick as you can, take some action is the key. Through
Yep.
that previewing, through taking those steps of grabbing some oils, bringing your intention, changing your subconscious thinking, and you will soon find also that once you do this, the universe, everything starts falling into place.
It responds to your
Yeah,
frequency. That's right. You see, I always
exactly.
used to say, I just want it easy. it's been so hard, I just want it easy. And then my teacher said to me, no, Donna, she said, you need to build that foundation and get yourself solid and stable enough to be able to cope with whatever life throws at you. And
Yes.
just recently, I've had some more, challenging times. We all do. Life is, we're bound to have them. But I've noticed a difference in myself, and so has Luke, and how I've responded with it and dealt with it, because I've got that meditation practice down pat. I journal. I do my affirmations. I've got an interest. So pretty much my life is balanced, and then you're able to cope, and as well as previewing situations. That's been a huge game changer as well. There was something I was going to say. I should have been taking notes to respond to you, Kay, as you were speaking.
Oh, that's okay. I know there's so much we want to cover and unearth.
I know there is, but this is the main reason why I am doing what I'm doing now, because I'm so passionate about helping other people. I've been there, I've done that, as you have. And to know that desperation and such dark times, and where you feel so alone. And I wished back then, I guess, that I had have had somebody to talk to help keep me on track. You see, I was going out to every healer. It felt like every healer in Tassie, trying to find healing, or I had to do that myself. That was the biggest thing as well.
Yeah. So
that's why I said, no, you're right.
We have that within ourselves. It's, looking around, looking for the next shiny object. It's got to come from within. And Robbins said, nothing changes unless you change within yourself, and you'll be okay. And tough decisions. She walked out of her marriage many years ago and have not looked back. So absolutely. And it is that thing of doing what we've been guided to do, listening to those divine nudges and taking notice of them. And then the other thing is, Donna, you offer counselling. Let's hear a little bit about what you do. How do we connect with you? And Robin said, it sounds like my story.
Well, that's the thing. I think we all share a very, very similar path. And so I have been doing telephone counselling. So it's holistic counselling. So I help you with your body, mind, and soul. And so finding the balance. Sorry?
No, I'm saying beautiful.
And so I've since moved into, I have a little office that I hired down at the Westbury Community Centre. So I've had face-to-face clients, which I'm thrilled with. And I've also got it's an anxiety workshop coming up that I'm yet to sort of put all the details to. That will be a one-day workshop, probably of a Sunday at the community centre at Westbury. That'll be $99, 9 till 4, and we'll learn about meditations, mantra, journaling, gratitude, breath work, and I'll share with you some of the tools that I've learnt. And it really is life-changing.
Yes. Oh, no, that sounds like a fantastic, and a beautiful opportunity. So I put a little bit up there. I put Divine Timing page on Facebook is where you will find Donna. How else could we contact you?
So it's either type in Divine Timing by Donna, or my page is Donna Selby, Holistic Counsellor. No, Psychic Counsellor. At the moment, you can email me at divinetiming22@gmail.com. Otherwise, go to my page. You'll find the bookings tab there if you'd like to book a reading or a counselling session. I have a special going for 6 weeks of coaching for $450. You have a saving of $60, I think. I'm not sure. And you can either have that over the phone. I might get brave and do it over Zoom, or you can come down and see me at the community centre. See, today is completely different for me. I'm not comfortable. I've never been comfortable. I mean, I like talking, but this sort of thing. So yes, I've had to push myself, and I'm really happy and proud of myself, that I've done that. But it's the same for all of us. Just push yourself through and to do something new, and then you'll be proud of yourself at the end of it.
And my mantra is feel the fear and do it anyway.
Do it anyway. Yes, that's my favourite book as well. I love that mantra.
Yes. And one of my others was when I was going through my dark times, somebody sent me, I can't remember where I saw it, but a little saying was, fear knocked on the door, but faith answered.
Yep.
So,
and I think,
go on, you go.
My other good friend, Veronica, said to me, this is probably 10 years ago, fear stands for false evidence appearing real.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's just the old story that we have in our head. Why can't we do something new? And, we can do it well.
Absolutely. Well, what a great note to finish up on, Donna. It has been a delight to hear your story.
Thank you.
And it's just so good because I can see and feel the courage that you are using with confidence, and you're on your path, and I think it's fantastic. So for anyone who would like to reach out to Donna, it is Donna Selby 22 at gmail.com. If you would like to talk to me about grabbing some oils that are going to support you to step up and stand into your courage and allow yourself to shine, come and find me on Facebook, Kay Hamilton, or my Facebook group is Kay's Essential Oil Wisdom, or my website is kayhamilton.com. And Donna and I would love to see you step into your courage to allow yourself to shine so that you can experience the joys of life with balance, harmony, and confidence. So thanks very much, Donna. I look forward to having another interview with you sometime if you are open.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thanks, Kay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. I'll just